And a one and a two. Did it, boop, 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 boo. It's, yeah. Hi, everybody. On the hand. Hi, how are you? Look, I'm even wearing my Galaxy of Comics t-shirt celebrating 10 years, servicing the people of the Lake Balboa area of Van Nuys. And in said shop today, I purchased this funny book. This is called Haha. This is issue number 1. This is actually the second printing, as you can plainly see. I was not I thought this was the first week this book had seen release. So when I got to the shop and I saw this second printing, I went, oh, it's trying to because it's like a practical joke type thing, right? No, it's actual second printing. I think it came out week before last or something like that. This is written by W. Maxwell Prince, who I don't believe I've read anything by yet, but he put together another similar anthology for Image Comics called Ice Cream Man, which began 2 years ago, I want to say, which I still haven't read, but looked really good. I mean, the only reason I didn't get it in the first place was because I was no longer working at the shop back home, so I had to really cut back on a lot of stuff. But this looks very similar. It's also drawn by Vanessa Del Rey, who... Oh, man, I had it right there where I know her from. And now I can't. She works with a writer that I like very much, whose name now eludes me. And they've done a couple series together that I've really liked. And I don't think I've seen anything much from either of them in the last year or two. So hopefully this will turn this around. So I don't, like I say, I don't really know what the deal is. I'm pretty sure it's an anthology like Ice Cream Man is. But I'll have to report back to you next week. I mean, that cover is really... I would probably... this is why I saw the cover and went, oh yeah, that looks good. Also today, I bought this Black Hammer Visions number 1. I love Black Hammer. I'm always going to buy anything Black Hammer. As we can see, this is a Golden Gale on the front, but the whole... And as is implied by Visions, it is another anthology. This time, a story apparently written by Patton Oswalt, which I think goes a couple, 3. To be honest with you, I'm surprised Patton Oswalt I haven't seen his name on more comics lately. He is currently writing that MODOK miniseries for Marvel, and he has written other comics before, but it only just occurred to me today, like, oh yeah, he hasn't been doing stand-up any more than I have been lately. But also, I mean, I can't imagine that guy needs to work either. He's probably doing this sort of thing because he likes it. He's got Ratatouille money. I'm sure he's sitting pretty during this pandemic, but I'm happy to have him do this because that MODOK series has been really good so far as well. I didn't recognize any of these other names on here, although I might recognize them after I read the book. So, but yeah, Black Hammer is, of course, Jeff Lemire's version of the DC universe, and it's a lot of fun, more fun than the actual DC universe, I would go so far as to say. And that was Pixar. Now Pixar. Blah, 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 blah. So I finally got actually just this morning, just like 2 hours ago, I read Strange Academy number 9, which was the last of the weekly books I had to read. So my to-read stack is now replenished. This was a heavy week though, so I've already got 20 books sitting on my to-read stack, 21. But the good news is I caught up on all the weekly stuff, so now I feel better for that. And I also hauled out my whole collection and refiled them. I had like 6 boxes worth of stuff that had not been filed into the collection I have here, because most of my stuff is still back at my mom's. In fact, I grabbed a couple boxes from my mom's house last time I was there and brought them up here so I could file them in, trying to merge those two together eventually. I mean, it won't be years until that happens, but it was really, there's something I don't ever hear anybody else talking about it, but one of the fun things about collecting anything, and in this instance comic books, is part of it is the organizational aspect. There's something, I find it very calming, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I just don't ever really, maybe people don't talk about it because it's extremely dorky, but it's a pain in the ass, don't get me wrong, and that's why I'm going to try. I used to do it when I had like 2 full short boxes that needed to be filed. I was like, all right, let's go, we can do this. But it is such a chore that I was like, I should wait till I have 3 or 4. And the next thing I know, I've got 19. And so most of my collection in my mom's garage is out of order, which really bothers me. But here in the Van Nuys sector of my comic book collection, it is all perfectly in order, and that's the way I like things. I do actually feel much better for it. It takes like a sort of pressure off myself, knowing that it's organized, but also, like I say, just the act of, I mean, it probably took me 5 or 6 hours, but I put on Big Lebowski and I recited it along, and then I put on Fletch and I recited along with that, and then I listened to a couple records, and it was fun, you know? And it was just, it's, because there's the thing about, I think it's one of the reasons I've often had a lot of really boring day jobs, is because once I get into the groove of whatever it is I'm doing, my brain is free to do whatever it wants. And when I used to work at a warehouse, I used to write a ton because I was so bored that I'd just be, I'd be packing things up, and I would be thinking the whole time. So I'd have all this stuff jotted down. Why am I telling you all this? I don't know. But there is that. Okay, so first up, last week I read Runaways number 33. This was great. It had been definitely a couple months since an issue of the Runaways had come out, so I was very happy to see it. I also didn't realize this when I was talking about this last week. So Jib here is playing for the Sabretooths, and his opposing team is the Wolverines, and both of their, this is very clearly Wolverine costume from the mid-70s. Wolverine's first blue and yellow costume, and then this is Sabretooth's orange and red. More of the colors, but like this design, I don't know. I felt like there was something else in this that I wanted to talk about. Now I can't remember. It's doing a great job, and especially with, I mean, this book is now, I want to say 20 years old, or almost. It's getting close. And, you know, it's what started out as a team of superpowered teenagers on the run from their parents and their parents' evil benefactors. And it's gone through several changes since, but now it's, you know, it's light years away from where it started, but it's still at its core a book about a team of high-powered teenagers trying to do the right thing and usually goofing it up, but always meaning well. It's very well done. And Rainbow Rowell continues to be, I really am looking forward to her doing some other stuff. I think I've read some of her other stuff that she's written, but this is the first like monthly that she's done that I know of. So I'm really, really looking forward to her next thing. And I hope it's good, because sometimes it's not. Also last week I read Fear Case number 1. This was really good. The basic premise of this is the CIA has this cold case that they've had for however many decades, and the new guys always have to get assigned it, right? It's like a hazing thing. But it actually, like this, the current partners are coming close, and things are getting scary. It's really good. And the art is really good too. The only problem with the art is that this is a similar problem that I've encountered with artists like Daniel Zazelj, and like stuff like this is just, and this is very Kint-y, and this is like, you can't really tell, but it's colored in crayon, which is a very Kint move, even though Kint's not actually drawing it. But him to design something like that, his like Mind Management and Department H were almost all crayon, I believe, colored, maybe colored pencil. It's not completely unusual, but you don't see a ton of it. But the artists are Tyler and Hillary Jenkins. I'm not sure who does what. And it's really good. Like I say, it's just that the faces they draw are too similar looking. And that really gets to be, like, I had the same problem with the title Loveless that Brian Azzarello wrote. This would have been in the mid to late aughts. And it was a Western, which I love, and it was by Azzarello, whom I also love. But Zazelj, who was a great artist, who drew Days of Hate, which I loved. But yeah, they draw white guys the same, which we all do look the same, but it doesn't help when you're reading a funny book. So that's my only note for the makers of Fear Case. And then, of course, Redemption number 1. This was as fun as I expected it to be. It's a post-apocalyptic Western, again, like I kind of guessed, with a badass female hero, which is not a surprise to me at all, given that it's written by Krista Faust, who's not only written, female protagonists, although in her comic book work, I think she only has written female protagonists, which is good. And Deodato, it's a no-brainer. Faust and Deodato, I hope they always work together from now on, because they're a hell of a team. And this is actually, I actually had started another fiction project back in May, and had, you know, really kind of let it sit. I would play with it every now and again, but I wasn't really doing anything with it. So reading that, I was like, God damn it, I got to get back to that. So I have actually been working on it a little bit more, and it too will be like post-apocalyptic, but I'm trying to make it as bananas as I possibly can. So right now it's set at the Banana Republic. That's stupid. Oh, and then finally this. Okay, so this I didn't show you last week, but I did read the latest issue of the Fantastic Four, which is this here. This is Fantastic Four number 28, or if you go by the legacy numbering, 673. I can never decide which I prefer. This was fun. Whoa, so much fun. I threw it around. It's drawn by R.B. Silva, who I'm pretty sure has been drawing this arc. So this storyline has been kind of a bit of a transition between Empire and now King in Black, because the newest number 29 just came out this week, and it's a King in Black tie-in. So this little, I think it's like a 2 or 3 issue arc, was a bit of a, maybe 4, was a bit of a resting point. Or sort of like the story is still, you know, there's still an action adventure. It's just not tied into a bigger event like it was. Here we have and then they started doing a letters page again. I think it was a few years ago. Like by the time the 21st century rolled around, there weren't letters pages anymore, I don't think. Or it wasn't long after that. Just like they didn't, like Marvel and DC used to offer subscriptions through the books, like they'd have ads like, oh, subscribe to this many titles. They haven't done that since, yeah, definitely since like the 90s. But then it was because the letters page, you know, nobody really gave a crap anymore. Fandom in general had changed so much. The letters page used to be integral. The letters page was the only way that comic book nerds could write to each other. They'd see letters printed and they have their address if, you know, they gave permission to the publisher. And then other dorks would write in. And I even had done that a few times when I was a kid. I had a couple pen pals. It never lasted more than a couple letters, though, because I have no commitment whatsoever. Right? You can tell by the thousands and thousands of comic books I own. But a few years ago, they started doing it again. And obviously, it's, you know, emails largely. And what do you know about that? I don't know if you can see it too good. This letter is written by little Jimmy Calloway. I got a letter printed in the Fantastic Four. Dear FF folks, I can't believe it's already been 2 years that Dan Slott has been writing this book. Because he had been writing Spider-Man for a long time. Even in a year like this that is taking forever, time still manages to fly. I really liked issue 24 and the nice breather that issues like this give us. 24 was really like one issue. And then 25, 26, you know, the 4 issues after were this arc. It's also really been fun so far seeing Franklin grow into adolescence, especially parallel to his emerging identity as a mutant. Open parentheses, sorry, I ate a term paper for breakfast, close parentheses. Aren't I clever? Also, Franklin is no longer a mutant, so I'm glad they printed my letter after delegitimizing a point I had made. And the new Grimm family is downright adorable, that is true. Ben Grimm, the Thing, finally married Alicia Masters, his longtime love interest, and then they have adopted 2 orphaned children, one of whom is a Kree and one is a Skrull. And they were, you know, those 2 alien races were mortal enemies for thousands of years. There's a new peace. And so, but they had found, the Fantastic Four had found, basically people were doing dogfights, but with Kree and Skrull children. So they rescued them, and then they brought 2 of them home with them. And now they're their kids. It's really adorable. I'm grateful for the stability and outright joy the Fantastic Four bring. It truly is the world's greatest comic magazine. Most sincerely, Jimmy Calloway. RFO QNS KOF PMM, Los Angeles, California. Those are all my Marvel fandom abbreviations. Thank you. You have to be in the MMMS to know what they mean. I'm not officially in the MMMS. Unofficially, I am. And I'm also in film. So that's fun. It's been, I mean, I write to Marvel actually a lot. You know, I don't only write to Marvel Comics. I'll write to any comic book that moves me. Like, I think 666 Bistro was the last comic book I wrote a letter to. And yeah, if something is good enough to make me go, oh, wow, I really particularly enjoyed that more than usual, yeah, I'll dash off a quick note. I think people should do shit like that more often, frankly. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I'm something of an anomaly in stand-up comedy because I actually like comedy. And so when other people have good sets or have a bit that I really like, I'll go up to them out of mind and go, oh shit, that bit was so good. And they always do this. Huh? And I can't tell if it's because I'm excited or because I'm excited about their stuff. Really throws them off. Where's the other damn... All right. So anyway, that's it for this week, everybody. Okay, bye. You're late again. I don't believe this.